Hey guys, I am here today to talk about storing wigs. Now, disclaimer, I do not pretend to be an expert on this topic. I have a little bit of experience. I've been wearing wigs for a year. I've gone through all the seasons now. And I've been watching a lot of reviews, a lot of videos, and so I picked up a few tips along the way. So I thought I'd share a few things with you that I'm going to do this year and some things I'm going to do differently this year than I did last winter. And I hope this will help you guys. So first of all, I'm going to have to do this in multiple parts because I can't show you everything if I'm doing a video in selfie mode, and I can't switch the camera angle on my phone. I don't have an iPhone, I have an Android phone, and they don't have the capability of starting a video in selfie mode and then flipping it around and filming out. So I'm gonna do the first part here, and then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna film it. I'm gonna hold on to my phone and then film it that way, okay? So that's the plan. So first of all, I have 3 methods that I use to store my wigs. Depending on the wig and depending on what I'm doing. So you've always, in all my videos, you can see wigs hanging back here. I like to hang my curly wigs upside down that are in current rotation. I also like to hang wigs upside down after I've worn them to give them an opportunity to air out. And oftentimes with a curly wig, I like to spray it down with water at the end of the day and scrunch it back up and then hang it up. So that's one tip. If you wear curly wigs, something that can really help to revive the curls after you've been wearing it all day is just a little bit of water, a little bit of scrunching, a little bit of shaking. And so I don't spray my curly wigs down every single day after I wear them. It really depends on how I think it looks, how often have I worn it, is it getting near to needing a wash? Another tip is I actually keep track of my wig wearing. In my phone, I have a notes app, and every single day I put the date and then I put what wig did I wear that day. And eventually I transfer it into a spreadsheet that I keep. I actually have a spreadsheet of every single wig that I have ever purchased, how much I paid for it, where I got it. And when I sell a wig, I move it down to the bottom of the spreadsheet and I put how much I sold it for, and I keep a running tally. So I know how much money I have spent on wigs and what my net spend is based on what I've sold. And that's just me. I like to track information. I feel as though I need to do it because I can tend to have a spending problem with wigs. I've talked about wig addiction. I'm in that boat with you guys. I'm really working on it. I've never ever had an addictive personality to anything until it came to wigs. And so I've got to be careful. So I keep that to keep me honest. And so I have another tab in the spreadsheet, and that's my wig wearing tab. And so every wig I own is in that spreadsheet. I track the date that I wore it, and I track the last date that I washed it. One of the reasons I need to do that is because I wear a different wig almost every day. And so it's hard for me to know when I need to wash a wig. And I need to make sure I'm not over washing my wigs in order to not wear them out too quickly. So I try to go 7 to 12 wears before I wash a wig. It's really going to depend on a lot of things, so it's not a perfect science, but I know I know how many times I've worn a wig, and I know the last time it was washed. That works really well for me. And so that's what I do. But where was I going with that? I told you that because I'll know when a wig is getting close to needing to be washed. And so I may just shake it out and hang it upside down at the end of the day. I may spray it with some water, scrunch it up, and hang it upside down at the end of the day. It just depends. With straight wigs, sometimes I will hang them upside down just to air the cap out after wearing all day. Sometimes I like to just stick them on one of these stands, these kind of stands, because the air can circulate around it versus a foam head stand, which I also have. It really just depends on the wig. These, I'm not a huge fan of these. They are cheap, and they are cheap. A lot of times this top thing doesn't fit on them well. It likes to pop off. I find you have to be really careful when you hang wigs on these to make sure that the lace doesn't get bent underneath this, which I've done before, and then I've got to crimp in my lace. So when you put a wig on one of these stands, this is where it's going to be hard. I may have to go downstairs in the kitchen and show you some of this. You really got to make sure that you're draping it over and pulling the cap out so that lace is kind of laying so it's not crimping. I'm really careful to not, I don't know, I try not to leave wigs on this type of a stand too long because it just doesn't lay terribly flat no matter how careful I am. And I just want to be careful that I don't ruin my wig. I wasn't as careful last year, and I've gotten a lot more careful with them. I always take good care of them, and I never just throw them around, but these are just some things you learn over time. Another thing that I'm going to change this year from last winter is I am not going to keep nearly the number of wigs out as I did. I kept a lot of wigs out on wig stands last year. For one, because I never knew what I wanted to wear, and I was worried about them getting box hair if I put them in the box. And the problem is I started to notice that a lot of my wigs were getting really dry. Wigs that I was not wearing, they were just sitting on the wig stand. And through conversations in Facebook groups, through watching some videos, and just through some common sense, I think it's because I kept them out. I live in Minnesota. It gets really dry here in the winter and really cold. And so we're closed up most of the winter. We don't crack our windows. And quite honestly, guys, for a good portion of the winter, if it's gotten a little warm and gotten a little cold, our windows actually kind of freeze shut. I have the crank out kind where the window goes out, and so I can't crank it out sometimes in the bathroom here, and so I can't really air out the bathroom. I have a good sized bathroom. I have a window, but it still gets really dry and the heat's always going. So I do keep a lot of my wigs in the bathroom. People will talk about not wanting to do that because of the steam factor. Because I've got a good sized bathroom, I mean, the ceiling is really tall in here. And I don't take hot showers. The only person who steams this place up would be my husband. It doesn't happen very often, and so I'm not worried about it. But that's a consideration. People have mentioned keeping them in the bathroom with the temperature changes and the heat could be an issue if you don't have windows in your bathroom, if you've got a smaller bathroom, if multiple people shower every day and they all steam up the bathroom, all things to consider. I don't have that concern in this particular bathroom, so I do keep all of my wigs in current rotation in here, and this year I might start keeping a few more in their boxes, which I'm going to talk about. So what I did last year is I kept a lot of wigs out. I can try to turn this a little bit. There, and it's messy over there, guys. I didn't clean my bathroom for you, but there is, I have like a jacuzzi bathtub that is kind of broken, so we don't use it. And so I store all my wigs around it, and I have a few wig boxes in it right now, which I'd like to get rid of. All right, so let me get this back. So I store a lot. I stored a lot of wigs over there, a lot around the tub this past winter. I'm not gonna do that same thing this year. I might keep a few out that I either I have a couple of really old wigs that I got from Wig Sisters that are not, they're more like a wig I don't care about, and because they sent them to me to either look at the color because they were going to throw it away, and I found I could wear them for doing dirty, messy work. If I were to be outside doing yard work, for example, and I wanted to wear a wig and maybe not a hat or something, that would be one of the wigs I would choose because I don't care if anything happens to them. And so I might keep a few of those out. It really depends. But I learned a trick that changed my life, and I give all the credit to Valerie at Loving Wigs with Valerie because she shared it in one of her videos, and I told her, you just changed my life with this video, like my wig wearing life, because one of the things I always struggled with was putting them back in their boxes, worried about getting box hair, crimping the wig. I always had trouble getting those stupid little hair nets back around them. I don't know if any of you guys have any issues with that, but it was always a challenge, and sometimes I just wouldn't do it because it was too hard for me to do it and not get the fibers all messed up. Well, Valerie showed me a trick, which I'm trying to think of how I can show this to you because it was an amazing trick. And maybe I should just link you to her video because it's so good. Let me just try it here. So, and I'm starting to do this now with most of my wigs, and I'm so appreciative of her for showing that. So what she did was she took the box. Maybe I will be able to film this all just like this if I can make this work. It's so much easier than stopping the video, going and splicing two videos together. All right, so she takes the box and she puts the hairnet around the box, just like this. This is so brilliant, you guys. I don't know why I never thought of this. So then she takes the wig. I just dropped the wig stand. Sorry about that. And so what I've been doing is it really depends on the wig. Is it curly? Is it straight? Is it long? Is it short? I have been... Again, this is a little bit of trial and error for me. So sometimes I turn the wig inside out. Gabor sends all their wigs inside out. I think all of them, all the ones I've gotten. So, and they have a little tag in there that says your wig was, turned specially inside out to keep the style and blah, blah, blah. So sometimes I turn them inside out and sometimes I don't. I don't know if it makes much difference either way. And I don't have a rhyme or reason when I decide to do it. So again, this is some trial and error stuff, you guys. Please don't look at me as being the be-all, end-all expert of this stuff. This is Girl Mono in Saffron Red Rooted. And I have a review of her out there. So I think I am going to and Girl Mono has actually been hanging up there. I think she's been up there for like 2 months. I mean, too long. And again, one of the things with keeping wigs out is they're collecting dust and all of that, and so putting them in their box really does protect them if you're not going to be wearing it. So I think with Girl Mono, I'm just going to gently kind of fold her in half and then just gently lay her, and I put the back of the wig so that it's facing the cardboard mold that came in here, and I'm just going to gently lay her in the box. I'm going to make sure her curls are sitting nicely. I'm going to make sure that I didn't crimp the lace. And then all you have to do is take the netting and pull it up from around the edges of the box. Are you still in the camera? All right. And this is harder to do like this. It goes much quicker when you're setting it on a counter. And I just let the netting kind of come around it to pull those curls in and keep them nice and secure. And then I take the paper. So I keep everything, take the paper back over, and then I close up the box. And I leave the tag out the way that it comes usually. And just do this so that I can see what wig it is. Now, I think Valerie keeps all of the packing too and puts the packing back into the cap. I sometimes do that and I sometimes don't. It kind of depends. If it's a wig I'm going to wear a lot, I do keep some of that packing. So if it's a wig that I'm going to store for long term, maybe I'm like some of my summer wigs now, I'm not going to pull them out now until probably April or May. Those ones, I'll take some of that packing and I'll just kind of stick them inside the cap to keep a little bit of its shape. But I don't always do that. Taz, another person who I adore, and her videos have been so helpful. She, in one of her videos early on when I first started buying wigs, I wasn't keeping a lot of that. I kept the box, but I wasn't keeping the netting. I wasn't keeping the paper. I wasn't keeping any of that. And Taz, in her video said, keep everything. And so I started to keep everything. Now I'm sort of an in-between. Sometimes I throw the filling away. It depends. For this, who is this? Lucy. This is Lucy by John Renault. And I just had her out for another reason. So I have her sitting here right now. Lucy is a pretty expensive wig because she's a fully hand-tied cap. And so she's really quite pricey. She's also got, she's a little bit straighter as opposed to curly. And she came with this packing with a little foam around it. I did keep this. And I think the foam is meant to just protect that lace, which is really nice. It's, so I did keep that. So for Lucy, I'm doing the same thing as I did with Girl Mono just now, but I'm gonna put that around to protect that lace. Then I'm gonna, put the netting there, lay her in the box very gently, and then put the netting around and close her up. So that is how I'm gonna store the majority of my wigs. So for ones that I think I'm going to be wearing periodically, Right now, I just plan to keep them in my bathroom, stack up those boxes, and then around I'm gonna have, 5 or 6 potentially, maybe a few less, maybe it'll be hard for me not to have a lot of wigs out in this bathroom because I'm used to it, so I'll figure it out. But I'll have a few wigs on the wig stands, and then I might have a few wigs hanging there that are just in my regular rotation. And I'm gonna try to be disciplined about taking them and, okay, I haven't worn this wig in a week, and I don't, I've got a few other wigs I've been wearing, I'm gonna pack this one up. What I'm finding is that it's not a big deal if you've already sort of gotten rid of any box hair that a wig may have come with, and it's not going to take a lot to redo that. You can spray it down, you can shake it out, you can hang it upside down. One of my favorite things are those clips. I just use that towel rack back there, and I just hang wigs upside down, and sometimes that's all you need to just sort of get the fibers loose again and maybe air out a wig. So that's a really great tip. But that's how I plan to store my wigs this winter. I really want to try to keep them out of the dry household air as much as possible, and to help them not to collect a lot of dust. Our house is pretty dusty, and that's just can't be good for the wigs. So hopefully that was helpful for you guys and gave you some ideas. Like I said, I have all sorts of things to store wigs. I mean, I've got the traditional foam heads, which I do like, because I think it gives the cap then can conform to the head, which is really good. I have a bunch of these. They're not my favorite, but they are nice and cheap. They can be really good to take with you on trips. So can those hangers though. And so I do keep a few of those out as well. But my preference, if a wig is gonna sit out for any period of time, my preference is to put them on here. I just feel it keeps the cap and the lace flatter than if you use something like this. And yeah, you can see on this one, it doesn't even have the circle on it because it fell off somewhere. But anyway, so that's how I store my wigs. Let me know if you have any questions. If you have other tips, put them in the comments, you guys. Our sisters read these comments and they learn a lot. And if somebody shares something really, really valuable, I can pin the comment to the top. I can only pin one, so maybe I can rotate them, but it would be really great to learn from you guys as well. And I just encourage you, if you're new at this, the winter air is no joke. If you live in a place that it gets cold and you guys use heat in the house all the time, and you keep your house closed up, it's kind of no joke. Some of my wigs got super, super dry last year, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And when I mentioned it, people commented. I have kept a lot of wigs out in this bathroom all summer. At any given time, I may have had 20 wigs on wig heads or hanging in here, and I didn't experience that with them, so I know it's the heat. So we've got to try to protect our wigs from heat. I'm going to do a little bit of research on that. I might get a humidifier. I can't humidify the whole house. I don't know. I'm going to keep playing around with that, and I'll share any things I learn as I learn them. Thanks for watching, you guys. Sorry this got so long. Have a good one.